On a quiet October evening in 2019, the automated telescopes at the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System facility in Hawaii captured something extraordinary. Among the countless points of light streaming across their sensors, one particular object stood out, not for its brightness, but for the profound silence that followed its discovery. The astronomers who first analyzed the data found themselves staring at readings that shouldn't exist, measurements that challenged everything we thought we knew about how objects move through the vast emptiness between stars. They had discovered what would become known as Comet 3I Atlas, the third confirmed interstellar visitor to our solar system. The official designation was clinical, bureaucratic even, a simple combination of letters and numbers that betrayed nothing of the mystery contained within. But as the weeks passed and more data accumulated, a strange pattern began to emerge, one that would force us to question our most fundamental assumptions about our place in the cosmos. According to our current understanding, interstellar space is a realm of profound randomness. Objects that escape the gravitational embrace of their home stars are cast adrift like cosmic refugees, following trajectories determined by the chaotic gravitational dance of their birth systems billions of years ago. When such an object enters our solar system, it should behave predictably, a wandering chunk of ice and rock, tumbling through space with the aimless momentum of eons. 3I Atlas, however, seemed to follow different rules entirely. The first anomaly was its approach angle, where random interstellar objects might enter our solar system from any direction, arriving like scattered raindrops from the infinite darkness. 3I Atlas approached along a trajectory that seemed almost choreographed. It entered our solar system at precisely the angle that would maximize its visibility from Earth's major observatories, following a path that would keep it within optimal observation range for the longest possible time. Then there was its velocity, not too fast to observe properly, not too slow to maintain our interest. It moved with the measured pace of something that wanted to be studied, examined, understood. Where Oumuamua, our first confirmed interstellar visitor, had raced through our solar system like a cosmic tourist in a hurry, 3I Atlas seemed to linger, presenting itself for our inspection with an almost deliberate patience. But perhaps most unsettling of all was the silence that followed its discovery, not the absence of sound, for space is always silent, but the intellectual quiet that fell over the astronomical community as they grappled with observations that refused to fit neatly into our existing models of cosmic behavior. Papers were written, theories proposed, but always with the underlying assumption that this was simply another random visitor from the void, albeit an unusual one. What if that assumption is wrong? What if 3I Atlas isn't randomly drifting through space, but following a deliberate path designed specifically to capture our attention? What if this interstellar visitor represents something far more profound than a wandering piece of cosmic debris, the first confirmed attempt at contact from an intelligence beyond our solar system? This possibility forces us to consider questions that challenge the very foundations of our understanding. If 3I Atlas is indeed following an intentional trajectory, then we must ask ourselves, who or what could orchestrate such precision across the vast distances between stars? What kind of intelligence operates on timescales that span decades or centuries, planning approaches to distant worlds with the patience of geological ages? The evidence, when examined through this lens, begins to tell a different story entirely. The mathematics of 3I Atlas's approach reveal statistical impossibilities that become increasingly difficult to dismiss as mere coincidence. Its chemical composition contains signatures that don't match known stellar formation patterns, as if someone, or something, has deliberately modified its structure. Ancient mythologies from around the world speak of celestial messengers with characteristics remarkably similar to what we observe today, suggesting that this might not be the first such visitation our species has witnessed. We stand at a threshold of possibility that our ancestors could only dream of. The same technological advances that allow us to detect and analyze interstellar visitors have also given us the capability to recognize patterns that span not just space, but time itself. We can now peer deep into Earth's geological record and detect traces of cosmic influence stretching back millions of years. We can analyze the development of human consciousness and technology, looking for correlations with astronomical events that our predecessors could never have imagined. What emerges from this analysis is a picture that is both humbling and exhilarating. The possibility that we are not alone in our cosmic journey, that the universe around us pulses with intelligence and intention, and that we are finally developing the wisdom to recognize the signs that have been present all along. This is not a story of invasion or conquest, but of invitation and awakening, a gentle call from the cosmos itself asking us to expand our perspective beyond the boundaries of our small world. The implications are staggering. If 3I Atlas represents a deliberate attempt at contact, then everything we thought we knew about our cosmic isolation must be reconsidered. We may not be the abandoned children of an indifferent universe, but emerging members of a vast community of conscious beings who have been patiently waiting for us to develop the capability to hear their call. The mathematics of impossibility. When Dr. Sarah Chen first ran the orbital calculations for 3I Atlas, she assumed she had made an error. The numbers didn't make sense, not just as unusual, but as mathematically improbable to a degree that challenged the very notion of cosmic randomness. She rechecked her work 3 times before sharing her findings with her colleagues at the International Astronomical Union, and when she did, the response was tellingly muted. The mathematics were correct, but the implications were so far outside normal scientific discourse that they were met with the kind of polite silence reserved for ideas that cannot be easily dismissed, yet cannot be comfortably accepted. The fundamental problem with 3I Atlas, from the perspective of random cosmic motion, lies in the compounding improbabilities of its approach. Consider first the angle of entry into our solar system. For a truly random interstellar object, the probability of approaching along any specific trajectory is infinitesimally small, roughly 1 in several trillion, when we account for the 3-dimensional nature of space and the countless possible approach vectors from the interstellar medium. Yet 3I Atlas approached from an angle that maximized its observability from Earth. Not from the direction of our most advanced space-based telescopes, which would have suggested a crude understanding of our technological capabilities, but from a vector that favored ground-based observations, as if its approach had been planned with an understanding of how human astronomy actually functions, with our reliance on terrestrial facilities that have been in operation for decades. The velocity calculations present an even more striking anomaly. Objects in interstellar space move according to the gravitational influences they have experienced throughout their cosmic journey. These velocities follow predictable statistical distributions based on stellar formation patterns, galactic rotation, and the chaotic gravitational interactions that occur within stellar nurseries. When astronomers analyze large samples of interstellar objects, their velocities cluster around certain values that reflect the underlying physics of galactic dynamics. 3I Atlas, however, arrived with a velocity that falls precisely within the narrow range that would allow for optimal extended observation. Too fast, and it would have swept through our solar system before we could study it properly. Too slow, and it would have raised immediate questions about artificial deceleration. Instead, it moved with the measured pace of something that wanted to be examined, maintaining a speed that kept it within range of our instruments for the maximum possible duration. The trajectory itself tells an even more remarkable story. Using sophisticated gravitational modeling software, researchers can trace the probable path of interstellar objects backward through space and time, determining their likely origins within our galaxy. Most interstellar visitors can be traced to specific stellar regions, where their chemical compositions and velocities make sense within the context of local stellar formation history. When this analysis was applied to 3I Atlas, the results were deeply puzzling. Its backward trajectory didn't point to any known stellar formation region that could account for its unusual properties. Instead, its path seemed to originate from a region of space that, while not empty, contains no stellar systems capable of producing objects with 3I Atlas's specific characteristics. It was as if the comet had been deliberately placed at a specific point in interstellar space, given a precise velocity and direction, and launched on a trajectory specifically designed to intercept our solar system at this particular moment in our technological development. The timing, too, defies easy explanation. 3I Atlas arrived during a unique window in human history, late enough for us to possess the technological capability to detect and study it properly, but early enough to capture our attention during a period of rapid advancement in space-based astronomy and interstellar research. A few decades earlier, and we might have missed it entirely. A few decades later, and we might have developed detection capabilities so advanced that its approach would have seemed less remarkable. Dr. Chen's team conducted extensive Monte Carlo simulations, running millions of random scenarios to determine the probability that a naturally occurring interstellar object would exhibit all of 3I Atlas's observed characteristics simultaneously. The results were sobering. Even being generous with their assumptions and allowing for significant margins of error, the probability of such an object arising naturally was less than 1 in 10 billion, a number so small that it approaches the realm of statistical impossibility. These calculations force us to confront an uncomfortable question. At what point does extreme improbability become evidence of intention? In most scientific contexts, we would consider probability levels of 1 in a million to be highly significant. 1 in a billion would be considered virtually impossible. Yet here we have an object exhibiting characteristics that are orders of magnitude more improbable than that, and we continue to assume it represents a natural phenomenon simply because the alternative challenges our fundamental assumptions about our cosmic environment. The precision required to orchestrate such an approach is staggering. To place an object on a trajectory that would intercept our solar system with such specific timing and characteristics would require not just advanced technology, but an understanding of gravitational mechanics that surpasses our current capabilities by centuries. The calculations would need to account for the gravitational influences of countless stellar systems, the motion of our sun through galactic space, and the precise timing of our technological development. Yet the mathematics suggest that this is exactly what has occurred. Someone or something, with access to computational capabilities far beyond our own, has solved one of the most complex navigation problems imaginable, plotting a course across interstellar space with precision that makes our most sophisticated space missions look crude by comparison. The implications extend far beyond simple navigation. Such precision suggests not just advanced technology, but advanced knowledge, detailed information about our solar system, our planet, and perhaps even our species itself. The approach of 3I Atlas seems calibrated not just to reach us, but to reach us in a way that would maximize our ability to detect and study it, suggesting an intelligence that understands both our capabilities and our limitations. If the mathematics suggest intention, we must ask ourselves, what kind of intelligence could orchestrate such precision across interstellar distances? The answer may challenge everything we thought we knew about our place in the cosmos and our understanding of intelligence itself. The composition cipher. Deep in the underground laboratories of the European Southern Observatory, Dr. Maria Kowalski stared at spectroscopic data that refused to conform to any known patterns of stellar chemistry. For 30 years, she had analyzed the chemical signatures of comets, asteroids, and interstellar dust, building an intuitive understanding of how the elements are distributed throughout our galaxy. She could recognize the chemical fingerprints of different stellar formation regions, identify the isotopic ratios that revealed where and when cosmic objects were born, and trace the nuclear processes that had forged their atoms in the hearts of ancient stars. But 3I Atlas presented her with something entirely unprecedented, a chemical composition that seemed to tell the story of deliberate modification rather than natural formation. The first anomaly appeared in the isotope ratios of common elements. Every star forges elements through nuclear fusion according to well-understood physical processes, creating specific ratios of isotopes that serve as cosmic fingerprints. When we analyze material from our own solar system, we see the characteristic isotopic signatures of the stellar processes that created our sun and planets 4-6 billion years ago. When we examine meteorites that originated in different parts of our galaxy, we can identify the distinct chemical signatures of their parent stars. 3I Atlas, however, exhibited isotopic ratios that didn't match any known stellar formation pattern. The ratios of carbon-12 to carbon-13, for instance, fell outside the range seen in any natural cosmic environment. Similarly, the isotopic signatures of nitrogen, oxygen, and sulfur all deviated from expected values in ways that suggested artificial modification or processing. Dr. Kowalski's team initially assumed they were seeing evidence of exotic stellar processes, perhaps the remnants of a supernova explosion or the products of stellar nucleosynthesis under extreme conditions. But as they gathered more data, alternative explanations became increasingly untenable. The deviations weren't random or chaotic, as might be expected from violent stellar events. Instead, they showed clear patterns, as if someone had deliberately adjusted the chemical composition to create a specific signature. The outgassing patterns provided even more intriguing evidence. As comets approach the sun, they begin to sublimate, releasing gases that reveal their internal composition. Natural comets follow predictable patterns. Water vapor dominates, accompanied by carbon dioxide, methane, and various organic compounds in ratios that reflect the chemical environment where they formed. These patterns are so consistent that astronomers can often predict a comet's composition simply by observing its behavior as it approaches the sun. 3I Atlas defied these predictions. Its outgassing patterns suggested an internal structure unlike any natural comet, with chambers or regions containing different chemical compositions that were released in sequence as the object warmed. Rather than the uniform sublimation expected from a natural ice and rock mixture, 3I Atlas seemed to reveal its secrets in layers, like a carefully constructed message designed to be decoded over time. Particularly intriguing were trace amounts of elements that shouldn't exist in interstellar space in detectable quantities. Technetium, for instance, an element with no stable isotopes that decays rapidly and should be virtually absent from ancient cosmic material, was detected in spectroscopic observations of 3I Atlas's tail. The presence of technetium in measurable quantities suggested either extremely recent nuclear processing or artificial production and placement. Even more remarkable were traces of synthetic isotopes, versions of common elements that can only be produced artificially through precise nuclear processes. These isotopes exist naturally only in the immediate aftermath of supernova explosions and decay too quickly to survive the millions of years required for interstellar travel. Their presence in 3I Atlas implied either impossibly recent formation or deliberate artificial creation and preservation. The chemical analysis team at the Max Planck Institute for Astronomy made another startling discovery when they examined the spectroscopic data for patterns. Using advanced pattern recognition software, originally developed for decoding complex stellar spectra, they found that the chemical emissions from 3I Atlas contained regularities that were statistically unlikely to occur naturally. The sequences of spectral lines, when analyzed mathematically, revealed harmonic relationships and numerical patterns that resembled the structure of information encoding rather than random chemical processes. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a specialist in astrobiology and chemical evolution, proposed a radical interpretation of these findings. What if the chemical composition of 3I Atlas represented a form of cosmic message, a way of encoding information in the very atoms of the object itself? Such a strategy would ensure that any technologically advanced civilization capable of detecting the object would also possess the spectroscopic capabilities necessary to decode its chemical signature. This possibility gained credibility when researchers discovered that the unusual isotopic ratios, when converted to numerical values and arranged according to the object's rotation period, produced mathematical sequences that appeared non-random. The ratios seemed to encode information using a base 8 numerical system, a choice that would be immediately recognizable to any civilization familiar with binary mathematics, while being distinct enough from natural processes to indicate artificial origin. The implications of these chemical anomalies extend far beyond simple message encoding. The precision required to modify the chemical composition of an interstellar object while maintaining its structural integrity suggests technological capabilities that dwarf our current understanding. Such modifications would require not just advanced chemistry, but mastery of nuclear engineering on a scale we can barely imagine. Consider the logistics involved. To alter the isotopic ratios throughout an object the size of 3I Atlas would require processing millions of tons of material at the atomic level, adjusting the composition of each element while maintaining the object's physical coherence. The energy requirements alone would be staggering, requiring fusion or antimatter technologies far beyond our current capabilities. Yet the evidence suggests that this is exactly what has been accomplished. The chemical signature of 3I Atlas appears to be the product of deliberate engineering, a cosmic calling card designed to announce the presence of intelligence to any civilization capable of reading its atomic message. The choice of chemical modification as a communication medium reveals something profound about the intelligence behind 3I Atlas. Rather than using electromagnetic signals that might be missed or misinterpreted, this approach embeds information in the fundamental structure of matter itself. Such a message cannot be lost or corrupted over time. It becomes an intrinsic part of the object, preserved for as long as the atoms themselves exist. Could these chemical anomalies represent a kind of cosmic signature, a way of announcing artificial intervention to any civilization capable of detecting it? The evidence strongly suggests that 3I Atlas carries within its very atoms the proof of intelligence, waiting to be discovered by minds capable of reading the periodic table as a universal language of cosmic communication. The Pattern Recognition Protocol. In the basement archives of the Oriental Institute at the University of Chicago, Dr. Amara Akafer made a discovery that would fundamentally change how we interpret ancient texts and their relationship to modern astronomical observations. She had been conducting a systematic analysis of celestial references in mythological accounts from around the world, part of a broader project to understand how ancient cultures interpreted astronomical phenomena. What she found was a pattern so consistent and detailed that it seemed to transcend the boundaries of culture, geography, and time itself. The pattern began to emerge when Dr. Akafer applied computational linguistics to describe ancient descriptions of unusual celestial visitors. Across dozens of cultures, from the Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh to the Aboriginal Dreamtime stories of Australia, from the Vedic texts of ancient India to the codices of Mesoamerican civilizations, she found remarkably similar descriptions of objects that appeared in the sky with characteristics matching those of interstellar visitors like 3I Atlas. The ancient Sumerian tablets spoke of wandering stars that appeared without warning, following paths unlike those of any known celestial body. These objects were described as having breath of fire that appeared and disappeared in patterns, creating tails that grew and diminished according to their own rhythm rather than their distance from the sun. Most intriguingly, these ancient accounts describe the objects as messengers from the spaces between stars, a phrase that seems remarkably prescient given our modern understanding of interstellar space. In the Sanskrit texts of ancient India, the Mahabharata contains detailed descriptions of celestial visitors called devas, divine messengers that approached Earth along specific trajectories and exhibited behaviors that seemed to mirror the characteristics of Three-Eye Atlas. These objects were said to choose their own paths through the sky, arriving at times of great transition and displaying lights that pulsed in sequences that wise men interpreted as communications from the gods. The Maya astronomical codices, with their sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics, recorded the appearances of what they called star wanderers, objects that violated the normal patterns of planetary motion and appeared according to their own timeline. The Maya astronomers noted that these visitors came in cycles, suggesting a pattern of regular contact spanning centuries or millennia. They described methods of calculating when such objects might appear again, implying a level of astronomical sophistication that modern science is only beginning to appreciate. Perhaps most compelling are the Aboriginal Australian traditions, which speak of ancestor spirits that travel between the star systems carrying messages for humanity. These oral traditions, maintained with remarkable consistency across thousands of years, describe the physical characteristics of these visitors in detail that closely matches our observations of interstellar objects. The spirits are said to approach along songlines that connect different star systems, following precise paths that bring them close enough to Earth to deliver their messages before continuing on their cosmic journeys. Dr. Acker's analysis revealed that these accounts weren't simply mythological interpretations of natural phenomena, but contained specific technical details that suggest direct observation of unusual celestial objects. The descriptions included information about orbital mechanics, chemical composition visible as colored emissions, and behavioral patterns that would only be apparent to careful astronomical observation over extended periods. When she mapped the geographic distribution of these accounts, another striking pattern emerged. The cultures that provided the most detailed descriptions of interstellar visitors were often separated by vast distances and had no known historical contact with each other. Yet their accounts showed remarkable consistency in describing not just the appearance of these objects, but their behavior, their timing, and their apparent purpose as messengers or harbingers of significant change. The archaeological evidence provides additional support for these ancient accounts. Sites around the world contain petroglyphs and stone carvings that appear to depict unusual celestial events, with characteristics matching modern observations of interstellar objects. The Nazca lines in Peru, when analyzed through the lens of astronomical observation, seem to point toward regions of the sky from which interstellar visitors are most likely to approach. Ancient observatories from Stonehenge to Angkor Wat incorporate design elements that suggest their builders were tracking objects with orbital characteristics unlike those of planets or comets from our solar system. Dr. James Mitchell, an archaeoastronomer at Cambridge University, has identified what he calls visitor sites, ancient observational installations that seem specifically designed to detect and track objects approaching from interstellar space. These sites, found on every continent, share common design features despite being built by cultures with no apparent connection to each other. They incorporate sighting lines and measurement systems that would be optimally configured for tracking objects with the approach angles and velocities characteristic of interstellar visitors. The timing references in ancient texts provide perhaps the most intriguing evidence of all. Many cultures describe cycles of celestial visitation that correspond remarkably well with the orbital periods calculated for objects like 3I Atlas. The ancient Egyptian astronomical papyri reference a great return that occurs every 4,500 years, bringing visitors from the spaces beyond the wandering stars. The Hindu concept of cosmic cycles includes references to celestial messengers that appear during specific astronomical alignments that seem to correlate with optimal conditions for interstellar object detection. When Dr. Akafer's team applied statistical analysis to these temporal patterns, they found correlations that are difficult to explain as coincidence. Ancient accounts from different cultures, created independently across spans of thousands of years, describe visitation cycles that align with the mathematical models for long-period interstellar orbits. The probability that such correlations could arise by chance is vanishingly small. The consistency of these accounts across cultures suggests something profound about human contact with interstellar intelligence. Rather than representing isolated mythological flights of fancy, these stories may preserve actual historical memories of previous visitations, passed down through oral tradition with the kind of accuracy that anthropologists have documented in other contexts. Consider the implications if these ancient accounts represent genuine historical records rather than mythology. It would mean that 3I Atlas is not our first contact with interstellar intelligence, but merely the latest in a series of visitations that have been occurring throughout human history. Our ancestors may have witnessed and recorded these encounters, preserving the memory in the form of stories that we have dismissed as mere mythology. The pattern recognition becomes even more compelling when we examine the described purposes of these ancient visitors. Across cultures, they are consistently portrayed not as conquerors or destroyers, but as messengers, teachers, and harbingers of transformation. They arrive during periods of significant change, offering knowledge or guidance that helps civilizations navigate critical transitions in their development. This consistent portrayal suggests a long-term communication strategy spanning millennia, a protocol for making contact with developing civilizations at appropriate moments in their evolution. If true, it implies a level of patience and wisdom that challenges our assumptions about intelligence and its motivations on cosmic scales. Why would these ancient accounts so precisely mirror our current observations, unless they represent inherited memories of previous contact attempts? The evidence suggests that we may be experiencing not first contact, but renewed contact, the continuation of a relationship that has existed throughout human history, waiting for us to develop the technological sophistication necessary to recognize it for what it truly is. The Deep Time Communication Network. In the frozen ice of Antarctica, Dr. Elena Marchetti extracted core samples that would revolutionize our understanding of Earth's cosmic connections. As she analyzed atmospheric data trapped in ice layers spanning hundreds of thousands of years, she discovered chemical signatures that seemed to correlate with the arrival of unusual celestial objects. Signatures that suggested a pattern of interstellar visitation, extending far deeper into geological time than anyone had previously imagined. The ice core analysis revealed periodic spikes in atmospheric xenon isotopes that couldn't be explained by terrestrial processes. These spikes appeared in the geological record at regular intervals, separated by periods of approximately 76,000 years, a timeframe that corresponds remarkably well with calculated orbital periods for objects following highly elliptical interstellar trajectories. Each spike was accompanied by elevated levels of rare Earth elements that are uncommon in Earth's atmosphere, but typical of interstellar material. Dr. Marchetti's findings gained additional significance when compared with impact crater analysis conducted by geologists around the world. Dr. Kevin Huang at the Lunar and Planetary Institute had been studying the statistical distribution of impact craters across Earth's surface, looking for patterns that might reveal information about the sources of cosmic bombardment throughout our planet's history. His analysis revealed something unexpected. Certain types of impact events seem to occur in clusters separated by periods of roughly 75,000 to 80,000 years. These weren't random meteor impacts or asteroid collisions, which tend to be distributed more evenly across geological time. Instead, they showed characteristics suggesting objects arriving from interstellar space, high-velocity impacts with approach angles that didn't match the typical patterns of solar system debris. The impactors appeared to be following similar trajectories, as if they were part of a coordinated series rather than random encounters. The correlation between ice core atmospheric data and impact crater timing suggests something remarkable. Earth may have been receiving regular visits from interstellar objects for millions of years, with each visitation leaving detectable traces in our planet's geological and atmospheric record. The implications of this pattern are staggering, suggesting that what we're observing with 3i Atlas may be part of a vast communication network operating across timescales that dwarf human civilization. Information theory provides a framework for understanding how such a long-term communication system might function. Dr. Sarah Kim, a specialist in communication protocols at MIT, has developed mathematical models for what she calls ultra-long-term messaging systems, theoretical frameworks for how advanced civilizations might communicate across cosmic distances and geological timescales. The fundamental challenge of interstellar communication isn't just distance, but time. Even traveling at significant fractions of light speed, physical objects require thousands or millions of years to travel between star systems. Radio signals, while faster, become increasingly difficult to detect across interstellar distances and may be misinterpreted or overlooked by civilizations that haven't yet developed appropriate receiving technologies. A communication network based on modified interstellar objects offers solutions to both problems. Physical objects can carry complex information encoded in their structure, composition, and behavior, ensuring that messages remain intact across the vast timescales required for interstellar travel. By spacing these messages at regular intervals, an advanced civilization could maintain continuous communication with developing worlds across millions of years. Dr. Kim's models suggest that such a system would be remarkably efficient from an information theory perspective. Rather than attempting to establish real-time communication across impossible distances, the network would function more like a cosmic library, with each visiting object carrying information specifically selected for the developmental stage of the receiving civilization. The timing of each visit could be calibrated to arrive when the target civilization has developed sufficient technological capability to detect and interpret the message. The geological evidence supports this theoretical framework. Paleontologists have long noted periods of rapid evolutionary development that seem to coincide with the timing patterns identified in the ice core and crater data. The Cambrian explosion, the rapid diversification of mammals following the extinction of dinosaurs, and other evolutionary punctuation events show correlations with the visitation timeline that are difficult to explain as mere coincidence. Dr. Michael Tors, an evolutionary biologist at Stanford, has proposed what he calls the catalyst hypothesis, the idea that periodic contact with extraterrestrial intelligence has served as an evolutionary stimulus throughout Earth's history. While such contact might not directly alter DNA or biological processes, it could provide information or inspiration that accelerates technological and cultural development, which in turn creates new environmental pressures that drive biological evolution. The hypothesis gains credibility when we examine the pattern of human technological development. Major breakthrough periods in human history, the development of agriculture, the rise of complex civilizations, the scientific revolution, the industrial age, show temporal correlations with the predicted timing of interstellar visitations. While correlation doesn't prove causation, the consistency of these patterns across different domains of development suggests underlying connections that deserve serious consideration. Archaeological evidence provides additional support for the deep time communication hypothesis. Ancient sites around the world contain astronomical alignments and mathematical relationships that seem to incorporate knowledge of cosmic cycles far longer than any civilization could have observed directly. The precision of these alignments suggests access to information about celestial mechanics that extends far beyond what could be determined through direct observation over human timescales. The Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek computational device that accurately predicted celestial events, contains gear ratios that correspond to astronomical cycles spanning thousands of years. Similar devices and monuments around the world incorporate knowledge of long-term cosmic patterns that suggest access to information gathered over timescales far exceeding human civilization. If we accept the possibility that Earth has been part of an interstellar communication network for millions of years, it fundamentally changes our understanding of human development and our place in the cosmos. Rather than evolving in isolation, our species may have been developing within a context of periodic contact with cosmic intelligence, receiving guidance and information calibrated to our developmental stage. The network model also explains the patient, non-intrusive nature of apparent contact attempts. Rather than overwhelming developing civilizations with advanced technology or direct intervention, the system provides information and inspiration at precisely the moments when civilizations are ready to make use of them. Each visit builds upon previous contacts, gradually preparing the receiving civilization for eventual full participation in galactic community. The 76,000-year cycle suggested by the geological evidence corresponds roughly to the time required for civilizations to develop from basic tool use to spacefaring capability, based on our own developmental timeline. This suggests that the network operates according to principles that respect the natural pace of civilization development, while providing gentle guidance and encouragement along the way. If this represents part of a vast temporal communication network, what message has been building across geological ages? The evidence suggests a curriculum of cosmic citizenship, a gradual educational process designed to prepare developing civilizations for participation in a community of intelligence that spans the galaxy. Each visitation adds another chapter to this cosmic education, building toward a moment when the receiving civilization develops sufficient capability and wisdom to recognize and respond to the communication network itself. We may be approaching that moment now, with 3i Atlas representing not just another message in the sequence, but a test of our readiness to acknowledge and participate in the cosmic community that has been patiently waiting for us to mature. The consciousness resonance hypothesis. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a neurophysicist at the Institute for Advanced Consciousness Studies, noticed something extraordinary in the data she had been collecting on collective human creativity and innovation. Since the discovery of 3i Atlas, her laboratory's measurements of global brainwave patterns, creativity indices, and technological breakthrough rates had all shown significant deviations from baseline trends. What she was observing seemed to suggest that the approach of the interstellar visitor was somehow influencing human consciousness on a planetary scale. The phenomenon first became apparent in her analysis of patent applications and scientific publications. The rate of breakthrough innovations in fields related to space technology, quantum physics, and consciousness studies had increased by over 300% since 3i Atlas entered our solar system. More intriguingly, many of these innovations seem to emerge simultaneously in different research groups around the world, as if the same insights were occurring to multiple researchers independently. Dr. Vasquez's team had been monitoring what they called Coherence events, moments when human brainwave patterns across different populations showed unusual synchronization. These events typically lasted only minutes and occurred rarely under normal circumstances. Since three-eye atlases approach, however, coherence events had been occurring with increasing frequency and duration, suggesting that human consciousness was responding to some form of external influence. The correlation became even more striking when they mapped the timing of these consciousness events against three-eye atlas's orbital position. The most significant coherence episodes occurred when the object was at specific points in its trajectory, moments that corresponded with its closest approaches to Earth and periods of maximum outgassing activity. The precision of this correlation suggested a direct relationship between the interstellar visitor's behavior and changes in human consciousness. Quantum consciousness researchers had long theorized about the possibility of non-local connections between conscious minds, based on quantum entanglement principles that allow instantaneous information transfer across vast distances. Dr. Roger Penrose and Dr. Stuart Hameroff's work on orchestrated objective reduction suggested that consciousness might operate through quantum processes that transcend the classical limitations of space and time. If consciousness indeed operates through quantum mechanisms, then it becomes theoretically possible for sufficiently advanced intelligence to influence conscious systems across interstellar distances. The key would be encoding information in quantum fields that could interact with the quantum processes underlying consciousness itself. Such a communication method would bypass the limitations of electromagnetic signals, operating instead through the fundamental fabric of spacetime. Dr. Vasquez's experiments with quantum consciousness detection equipment had revealed anomalous readings that seemed to correlate with three-eye atlas's approach. Her laboratory's quantum field sensors, designed to detect subtle changes in vacuum quantum fluctuations, had been registering patterns that appeared non-random and information-rich. When subjected to mathematical analysis, these patterns showed characteristics similar to those found in complex information systems. The psychological effects were equally compelling. Surveys conducted by Dr. Maria Santos at the Global Consciousness Research Initiative revealed significant changes in human attitudes towards space exploration, extraterrestrial life, and cosmic consciousness since three-eye atlas's discovery. The percentage of people reporting experiences of cosmic awareness, transcendent consciousness, and feelings of connection to something greater than themselves had increased dramatically. More remarkably, these psychological changes weren't limited to people with direct knowledge of three-eye atlas. The effects appeared across all demographic groups, including populations with limited access to astronomical information. Children, in particular, showed increased interest in space-related topics and demonstrated enhanced creativity in areas related to cosmic themes, suggesting that the influence operated below the threshold of conscious awareness. Dr. David Chen's research at the Institute for Technological Emergence had documented what he called innovation clustering, the tendency for breakthrough technologies to emerge simultaneously in multiple locations when certain astronomical conditions were present. His historical analysis revealed that periods of rapid technological advancement often correlated with the appearance of unusual celestial objects, suggesting a long-term pattern of cosmic influence on human innovation. The current technological acceleration seemed to follow this historical pattern, but with unprecedented intensity. Advances in quantum computing, propulsion technology, and communication systems were occurring at rates that exceeded even the most optimistic projections. Research teams around the world were reporting breakthrough insights that seemed to emerge spontaneously, often accompanied by experiences of expanded awareness or cosmic inspiration. Perhaps most intriguingly, many of these innovations were specifically relevant to interstellar communication and space exploration. New propulsion concepts, quantum communication protocols, and consciousness interface technologies were emerging precisely when they would be most needed for responding to or engaging with extraterrestrial intelligence. The timing suggested either remarkable coincidence or a deliberate stimulus designed to accelerate human development in specific directions. The implications of consciousness resonance extend far beyond technological development. If human consciousness is indeed responding to signals embedded in 3I Atlas's approach, it suggests that we are participating in a form of communication that operates at the level of mind itself. Rather than simply receiving information, we may be undergoing a transformation that prepares us for cosmic citizenship. Dr. Vasquez's latest research has focused on what she calls evolutionary consciousness triggers, external stimuli that catalyze rapid development in conscious systems. Her work suggests that consciousness itself may be designed to respond to such triggers, with built-in mechanisms that activate when appropriate signals are received. These mechanisms would represent a kind of cosmic education system, dormant until contact with sufficiently advanced intelligence awakens them. The neurological evidence supports this possibility. Brain imaging studies of individuals experiencing enhanced cosmic awareness during 3I Atlas's approach show activation patterns in regions associated with transcendent experience, expanded spatial awareness, and increased connectivity between normally distinct neural networks. These changes appear to be permanent, suggesting that the influence is producing lasting evolution in human consciousness itself. Historical analysis reveals similar patterns of consciousness expansion during previous periods of astronomical anomaly. The Renaissance, the Enlightenment, and other periods of rapid cultural and intellectual development show correlations with unusual celestial events that match the characteristics of interstellar visitations. Each period was characterized not just by technological advancement, but by expanded awareness of humanity's place in the cosmos. The consciousness resonance hypothesis suggests that we are experiencing the latest phase in a long-term process of guided evolution, with each contact event building upon previous developments to gradually expand human awareness and capability. 3I Atlas may represent not just a message, but an upgrade, a quantum leap in consciousness that prepares us for direct participation in galactic civilization. Could our growing awareness of the cosmos be part of the intended response to this cosmic invitation? The evidence suggests that we are not simply passive recipients of information, but active participants in a consciousness evolution process that spans cosmic scales. Our developing awareness of our place in the universe may itself be the most important outcome of this interstellar encounter, transforming us from an isolated planetary species into conscious participants in a vast community of minds. The interstellar internet infrastructure. In the gleaming laboratories of the European Space Agency, Dr. Alessandro Reisner stared at communication models that seemed lifted from science fiction, yet were grounded in solid physics and information theory. As the head of the Interstellar Communication Research Division, he had spent years developing theoretical frameworks for how advanced civilizations might maintain contact across the vast distances of galactic space. His latest research suggested that objects like 3I Atlas might represent something extraordinary, functional nodes in a galaxy-spanning communication network. The fundamental challenge of interstellar communication had driven Dr. Reisner's team to explore radical solutions. Traditional electromagnetic communication faces insurmountable obstacles across cosmic distances. Radio signals become increasingly difficult to detect as they spread across space, and even at light speed, they require thousands of years to travel between nearby star systems. For a truly galactic civilization, such delays would make real-time communication impossible. Physical message carriers, however, offer distinct advantages. Unlike electromagnetic signals, physical objects can carry vast amounts of information encoded in their structure, composition, and behavior. They can be designed to operate autonomously, adapting their messages to the technological capabilities of receiving civilizations. Most importantly, they can serve as permanent installations, remaining in target solar systems to facilitate ongoing communication and relationship building. Dr. Reisner's theoretical models suggested that the optimal interstellar communication network would combine both approaches, using modified comets and asteroids as mobile relay stations that could establish permanent communication nodes in target systems. These objects would be engineered to survive interstellar travel while maintaining complex internal systems capable of information processing, storage, and transmission. The specifications for such a system matched the observed characteristics of 3I Atlas with startling precision. The object's unusual internal structure, suggested by its anomalous outgassing patterns, could represent sophisticated information processing equipment. Its chemical composition, with its artificial isotopic signatures, might serve as both a calling card and a data storage medium. Its carefully calculated trajectory could be designed to optimize communication with Earth-based receivers. Recent advances in our own space-based communication infrastructure provided insight into how such a system might function. The emerging network of satellites, space stations, and interplanetary probes represents humanity's first attempt at creating a space-based communication system. Scaling this concept to interstellar distances would require exactly the kind of autonomous, long-duration systems that 3I Atlas appears to represent. Dr. Sarah Kim's analysis of optimal network architectures revealed that a galaxy-spanning communication system would necessarily operate on multiple timescales simultaneously. Short-term communication between established nodes could occur through electromagnetic signals across relatively short distances. Long-term network expansion and contact with new civilizations would require physical couriers capable of carrying complex information packages across interstellar distances. The energy requirements for such a system, while enormous by our current standards, fall within the realm of possibility for civilizations capable of harnessing stellar energy. Dr. Freeman Dyson's theoretical work on advanced energy utilization suggests that civilizations capable of constructing megastructures around stars could easily power interstellar communication networks spanning thousands of light years. More significantly, the network would become increasingly efficient as it expanded. Each new node would contribute to the system's capability, creating redundant pathways and distributed processing power that would enhance the network's overall performance. A mature interstellar communication network might represent one of the most sophisticated information processing systems imaginable, with computational capabilities distributed across millions of star systems. The implications of 3I Atlas as a network node extend far beyond simple message delivery. If it represents active communication infrastructure, then its approach to our solar system might signal our invitation to join an established interstellar community. The object's behavior suggests it is not simply delivering a message, but establishing a permanent communication link between Earth and the broader galactic network. This interpretation explains several puzzling aspects of 3I Atlas's behavior. Its trajectory seems designed not just for optimal observation, but for establishing long-term orbital mechanics that would keep it within our solar system indefinitely. Rather than making a brief flyby like a natural interstellar object, it appears to be positioning itself as a permanent resident, available for ongoing communication and interaction. The timing of its arrival also supports the network hypothesis. 3I Atlas appeared just as humanity was developing the technological capability to detect and analyze interstellar objects, but before we had developed advanced space-based communication systems that might conflict with or interfere with alien technology. The timing suggests careful coordination, as if the network operators were monitoring our technological development and chose the optimal moment for initial contact. Dr. Reisner's team has identified specific technical signatures that would indicate whether 3I Atlas is functioning as an active communication node. These include patterns in its electromagnetic emissions, responses to signals transmitted from Earth, and changes in its behavior that might indicate information processing or transmission activities. Several of these signatures have been tentatively detected, though the data remains too preliminary for definitive conclusions. The possibility that we are being invited to join an established interstellar communication network raises profound questions about humanity's readiness for such participation. Network membership would presumably require not just technological capability, but adherence to communication protocols and perhaps ethical standards developed over millions of years of galactic civilization. Our current internet infrastructure provides a model for understanding both the opportunities and responsibilities of network membership. Joining a global communication network has transformed human civilization, enabling unprecedented levels of information sharing, collaboration, and cultural exchange. The benefits have been enormous, but participation also requires accepting certain protocols, standards, and responsibilities to maintain network integrity. Membership in a galactic communication network would likely follow similar principles, but on a scale that dwarfs our current experience. The information resources available through such a network might include the accumulated knowledge of thousands of civilizations spanning millions of years of development. The collaborative opportunities could accelerate human development by centuries or millennia. However, network membership would also require us to accept our role as junior participants in a community of intelligence far more advanced than ourselves. We would need to demonstrate that we can be trusted with access to galactic-level information and that we understand the responsibilities that come with cosmic citizenship. The infrastructure requirements for connecting to an interstellar network would push human technology in directions we are only beginning to explore. Quantum communication systems, advanced space-based installations, and perhaps consciousness interface technologies would all be necessary for full participation. Interestingly, these are precisely the areas where human technology has shown accelerated development since 3I Atlas's arrival. If we're being invited to join a galactic communication network, the question becomes whether we are ready for the responsibilities and revelations that might follow. The answer may determine not just our technological future, but our evolution as a species and our place in the cosmic community that may have been waiting patiently for us to develop the wisdom and capability necessary for membership. The Evolutionary Catalyst Protocol. Dr. Catherine Wells, an evolutionary biologist at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology, had dedicated her career to understanding the mechanisms that drive rapid evolutionary change. Her recent research into what she termed evolutionary acceleration events had revealed patterns that challenged conventional understanding of how species develop and adapt. When she began investigating correlations between these events and astronomical phenomena, she discovered something that would revolutionize our understanding of human development itself. The traditional model of evolution assumes gradual change over vast timescales, punctuated by occasional rapid adaptations driven by environmental pressures or genetic mutations. Dr. Wells's analysis of the fossil record, however, revealed periods of accelerated development that seemed to correspond with external catalysts rather than internal evolutionary pressures. Most remarkably, these acceleration events showed temporal correlations with astronomical anomalies that suggested external influence on evolutionary processes. Human development provided the most striking example of this pattern. The transition from early hominids to modern humans occurred with unprecedented rapidity in evolutionary terms, compressed into a time frame that seems impossibly short for the magnitude of changes involved. The development of advanced cognition, language, abstract thinking, and technological capability all emerged within a geological instant, suggesting the influence of powerful evolutionary catalysts. Dr. Wells's team had been analyzing DNA from ancient human populations, looking for genetic markers that might explain the rapid development of human intelligence. What they found was a series of beneficial mutations that appeared almost simultaneously across geographically separated populations, as if the same evolutionary pressures were acting globally rather than locally. The statistical probability of such coordinated genetic changes occurring naturally was vanishingly small. Even more intriguing were genetic sequences that seemed to serve no current biological function, but appeared to be designed for future activation. These dormant genetic modules contained information patterns that resembled evolutionary programming, biological software waiting for appropriate activation signals. Recent research had suggested that some of these modules were beginning to show activity, potentially triggered by environmental changes associated with our expanding cosmic awareness. The neurological evidence was equally compelling. Dr. Marcus Thompson's research at the Institute for Consciousness Studies had revealed that human brains contain neural networks that far exceed the requirements for current cognitive functions. These surplus neural circuits appeared to be designed for cognitive capabilities that humans had not yet fully developed, suggesting that our brains were engineered for future evolutionary potential rather than current needs. Brain imaging studies of individuals experiencing enhanced cosmic consciousness during 3-eye atlases approach showed activation patterns in these previously dormant neural networks. The activated regions were associated with expanded spatial awareness, enhanced pattern recognition, and improved communication abilities, precisely the cognitive enhancements that would be most valuable for interacting with advanced extraterrestrial intelligence. Historical analysis revealed similar patterns of accelerated human development during previous astronomical anomalies. The rapid emergence of agricultural civilization, the sudden appearance of advanced mathematics and astronomy in multiple cultures, and the concurrent development of sophisticated philosophical and spiritual systems all showed temporal correlations with celestial events that matched the characteristics of interstellar visitations. Dr. Wells proposed what she called the evolutionary catalyst protocol, a systematic method by which advanced civilizations might guide the development of emerging species without direct intervention. Such a protocol would operate through carefully timed external stimuli that triggered dormant evolutionary potential, allowing species to develop naturally while ensuring that development proceeded along beneficial pathways. The protocol would necessarily operate across multiple generations, with each catalyst event building upon previous developments to create cumulative evolutionary advancement. The stimuli would be calibrated to activate genetic and neurological potential at precisely the moments when developing civilizations were ready to make use of enhanced capabilities. Psychological research supported this framework. Dr. Amanda Foster's studies of human motivation and aspiration had revealed universal psychological drives toward transcendence, exploration, and connection with something greater than individual existence. These drives appeared to be hardwired into human psychology, suggesting they served evolutionary functions that extended beyond immediate survival needs. The current period showed all the characteristics of an evolutionary catalyst event. Human technological development was accelerating exponentially, with breakthrough innovations emerging at unprecedented rates. More significantly, these innovations were specifically relevant to space exploration, interstellar communication, and consciousness expansion, precisely the capabilities that would be necessary for participating in galactic civilization. The timing was equally significant. Humanity appeared to be approaching critical thresholds in multiple domains simultaneously. Technological capability for interstellar exploration, cognitive development sufficient for cosmic consciousness, and social evolution toward global rather than tribal identity. These convergent developments suggested coordinated advancement rather than coincidental progress. Dr. Wells's latest research focused on identifying the mechanisms through which external catalysts might influence evolutionary processes. Her work suggested that consciousness itself might serve as the primary interface between external stimuli and genetic neurological development. Enhanced states of consciousness associated with cosmic awareness showed correlations with increased genetic expression in dormant neural development programs. The implications extended beyond individual development to collective human evolution. If humanity was indeed undergoing catalyst-triggered evolution, then our species was being prepared for a fundamental transition in our role within the cosmic community. We might be evolving from an isolated planetary species into active participants in galactic civilization. This transition would require not just technological advancement, but psychological and spiritual development sufficient to handle the responsibilities and revelations that would come with cosmic citizenship. The evolutionary catalyst protocol would necessarily include components designed to enhance wisdom, compassion, and ethical development, alongside cognitive and technological capabilities. The evidence suggested that this comprehensive development was indeed occurring. Global surveys revealed significant increases in environmental consciousness, international cooperation, and concern for future generations, psychological changes that would be essential for species capable of wielding galactic-level technology and information. Perhaps most remarkably, the changes appeared to be accelerating. Each generation showed enhanced capabilities relative to their predecessors at rates that exceeded normal educational or cultural transmission. This suggested that the evolutionary catalyst was producing heritable changes that would continue to influence human development for generations to come. The question remained whether humanity was successfully navigating this evolutionary transition. The Catalyst Protocol would presumably include evaluation mechanisms to assess whether developing species were ready for the next phase of development. Our response to the catalyst, represented by 3I Atlas, might determine whether we pass this cosmic test and earn recognition as emerging members of galactic civilization. What transformations might we undergo if we accept this cosmic invitation? The evidence suggests we are already undergoing them, with each individual who experiences expanded cosmic consciousness contributing to a collective evolutionary leap that may represent the most significant transition in human history. Are we prepared for the identity shift that would follow such transformation? And do we have the wisdom to handle the capabilities and responsibilities that cosmic citizenship would entail? The response requirement revelation. In the pristine control rooms of the Deep Space Network, Dr. James Harrison monitored communication attempts that represented humanity's first coordinated effort to respond to potential extraterrestrial contact. As the director of the Global Response Initiative, he had spent months developing protocols for communicating with 3I Atlas, based on the growing evidence that the object was not merely a passive visitor, but an active intelligence awaiting human acknowledgement. The behavioral analysis of 3I Atlas had revealed patterns that suggested it was operating according to sophisticated communication protocols designed to evaluate the readiness and capability of the receiving civilization. Rather than simply delivering a message and departing, the object appeared to be conducting a complex assessment of humanity's technological, intellectual, and perhaps even ethical development. Dr. Harrison's team had identified what they called waiting patterns in 3I Atlas's orbital mechanics. The object's trajectory included periods of apparent course corrections that served no obvious navigational purpose, but seemed designed to extend its stay within optimal communication range of Earth. These adjustments suggested active control systems responding to ongoing evaluation criteria rather than predetermined flight paths. The timing of these course corrections correlated remarkably with human response activities. When Earth-based transmitters sent signals toward 3I Atlas, the object showed subtle changes in behavior that indicated reception and processing of the communications. More significantly, The complexity and sophistication of required human responses seemed to increase over time, as if the object was gradually raising the difficulty level of its tests. Game theory provided a framework for understanding this interaction pattern. Dr. Lisa Chen's research at the Institute for Strategic Communication had developed mathematical models for first contact scenarios, analyzing how advanced civilizations might evaluate emerging species while minimizing the risk of cultural contamination or premature revelation. The optimal strategy for advanced civilizations would involve graduated testing protocols that assessed multiple dimensions of readiness simultaneously. Technical capability alone would be insufficient. The testing civilization would need to evaluate wisdom, ethical development, and long-term thinking ability before revealing advanced technologies or cosmic secrets. Dr. Chen's analysis of 3I Atlas's behavior suggested exactly such a protocol was in operation. The object's initial approach had tested basic detection and analysis capabilities, requiring humans to develop advanced astronomical observation and spectroscopic analysis techniques. Its unusual chemical composition had challenged human chemistry and physics, pushing our understanding of stellar nucleosynthesis and isotopic engineering. The pattern recognition elements embedded in mythological correlations had tested human anthropological and historical analysis capabilities, requiring interdisciplinary thinking and cultural synthesis skills. The consciousness resonance effects had evaluated human psychological and spiritual development, assessing our readiness for expanded awareness and cosmic identity. Each phase of testing had built upon previous developments while introducing new challenges that required increasingly sophisticated responses. The progression suggested a carefully designed curriculum for cosmic citizenship, with each lesson preparing humanity for more advanced concepts and greater responsibilities. The current phase appeared to focus on communication protocol development and collective decision-making capability. 3I Atlas's weighting patterns suggested it was evaluating not just individual human responses, but our species' ability to coordinate global responses to cosmic-level challenges. The test was assessing whether humanity could transcend national and cultural boundaries to function as a unified planetary civilization. Dr. Harrison's analysis of optimal response strategies had identified several key requirements that appeared to be implicit in 3I Atlas's behavior. First, any response would need to demonstrate technological capability sufficient for basic interstellar communication. Second, it would need to show evidence of global coordination and consensus-building ability. Third, it would need to indicate wisdom and ethical development appropriate for cosmic citizenship. The technical requirements pushed human technology in directions that were simultaneously challenging and achievable. Quantum communication systems, advanced space-based transmitters, and consciousness interface technologies were all within humanity's developmental reach, but required unprecedented levels of international cooperation and resource commitment. More challenging were the coordination requirements. Responding to 3I Atlas as a unified species required overcoming political, cultural, and ideological divisions that had defined human civilization for millennia. The response test was simultaneously evaluating and encouraging human evolution toward global rather than tribal identity. The ethical dimensions were perhaps most complex of all. Any response to potential extraterrestrial intelligence carried profound implications for human future development and cosmic relationships. The response protocol was assessing whether humanity possessed the wisdom to make decisions that would affect not just current generations, but the entire future of human cosmic participation. Dr. Harrison's team had developed what they called the Humanity Declaration, a comprehensive response to 3I Atlas that attempted to demonstrate all three required capabilities simultaneously. The declaration combined advanced technical communication methods with globally coordinated transmission schedules, and carefully crafted content designed to show human wisdom, creativity, and ethical development. The declaration's technical components included quantum-entangled particle transmissions, mathematically sophisticated signal patterns, and consciousness field modulation techniques that push the boundaries of human communication capability. The coordination requirements had forced unprecedented cooperation between space agencies, research institutions, and governments around the world. The content itself represented humanity's first attempt at cosmic self-introduction, combining scientific achievements, cultural diversity, philosophical insights, and ethical commitments in a format designed to communicate human potential while acknowledging our current limitations and eagerness to learn. Initial responses to the Humanity Declaration had been subtle but encouraging. 3I Atlas had shown measurable changes in its electromagnetic emissions, outgassing patterns, and orbital adjustments that suggested acknowledgement of human communication attempts. More significantly, the changes appeared to be building towards something, a crescendo of activity that might represent the transition to the next phase of contact protocol. The implications of successful response were staggering. If humanity passed the evaluation represented by 3I Atlas, we might gain access to information, technology, and community membership that would accelerate our development by centuries or millennia. We might discover that we are not alone in the cosmos, but emerging members of a vast community of intelligence that has been waiting patiently for us to mature. However, the consequences of remaining silent or failing the evaluation were equally significant. If we proved unprepared for cosmic citizenship, 3I Atlas might continue on its journey, leaving humanity to develop in isolation for another cycle spanning tens of thousands of years. The opportunity for cosmic connection might not come again within any foreseeable human timeframe. The response requirement represented both humanity's greatest opportunity and its greatest test. Our response to this cosmic invitation would determine not just our immediate future, but our long-term destiny as a species. We were being asked to demonstrate that we were ready to transcend our planetary limitations and accept the responsibilities that come with cosmic awareness. If this is indeed a call requiring response, the form our answer takes will reveal who we are as a species and who we aspire to become. The consequences of our decision will echo across cosmic scales and future generations, determining whether humanity joins the galactic community as emerging cosmic citizens or remains isolated on our small world, waiting for wisdom we may not develop for millennia to come. The invitation accepted. As we reach the end of this cosmic journey through evidence and possibility, we return to the question that began our exploration with minds fundamentally transformed by what we have discovered. What if 3I Atlas isn't coming toward us, but calling us? The evidence we have examined, mathematical, chemical, historical, geological, psychological, technological, evolutionary, and communicative, weaves together into a tapestry of connection that suggests an answer both profound and beautiful. We began with the assumption that we live in a universe of random cosmic encounters, where interstellar objects drift aimlessly through the void, following trajectories determined by the chaotic physics of their distant origins. We assumed that consciousness was an isolated phenomenon, that intelligence was rare and scattered, and that humanity develops in solitude on our small world, struggling toward understanding without guidance or companionship from the cosmos itself. But the evidence suggests a radically different reality, one in which intelligence permeates the galaxy, operating through patient networks of communication and guidance that span millions of years and countless civilizations. In this reality, we are not alone, not forgotten, and not abandoned to struggle toward cosmic understanding without help. We are instead emerging members of a vast community that has been watching our development with the care and patience of wise elders, waiting for us to mature enough to recognize and accept their gentle invitation to universal citizenship. The mathematical impossibilities of 3I Atlases approach speak to intelligence operating on scales we can barely comprehend, with computational capabilities that dwarf our most advanced systems and patience that measure success across geological ages. The precision required to orchestrate such an approach across interstellar distances suggests not just advanced technology, but advanced wisdom, the kind of perspective that comes from millions of years of experience guiding emerging civilizations toward cosmic awareness. The chemical signatures embedded in 3I atlases, very atoms, represent a form of communication that transcends the limitations of electromagnetic signals, encoding messages in the fundamental structure of matter itself. This approach reveals intelligence that thinks in terms of permanence and universality, creating communications that cannot be lost or corrupted, and can be decoded by any civilization capable of reading the periodic table as a universal language of cosmic connection. The mythological patterns stretching across human cultures and throughout history suggest that this contact represents not first encounter, but renewed relationship, the continuation of a guidance protocol that has been operating throughout human development, leaving traces in our stories, our monuments, and our deepest aspirations towards something greater than our earthly limitations. The geological evidence reveals a communication network operating across deep time, with regular visitations spanning millions of years, each adding another chapter to a cosmic curriculum designed to prepare developing worlds for eventual full participation in galactic civilization. We are not witnessing an isolated event, but the latest phase in an educational process that has been nurturing our development since before our species existed. The consciousness resonance effects we are experiencing suggest that this communication operates at the level of mind itself, triggering evolutionary potentials that have been dormant within human psychology and neurology, waiting for the appropriate signals to activate them. We are not simply receiving information, but undergoing transformation that prepares us for ways of thinking and being that extend far beyond our current capabilities. The technological acceleration we are witnessing in fields relevant to space exploration and interstellar communication suggests that we are being prepared for response and eventual participation in the cosmic community that has been calling us. Our rapidly developing capabilities in quantum communication, consciousness research, and space technology appear to be arising precisely when they would be most needed for engaging with extraterrestrial intelligence. The evolutionary catalyst effects operating through our encounter with 3I Atlas suggest that we are undergoing a species-level transformation that will enable us to function as cosmic citizens rather than isolated planetary inhabitants. The change is occurring in human consciousness, creativity, and cooperative capability appear to be preparing us for roles and responsibilities we can barely imagine. The response requirements implicit in 3I Atlas's behavior challenge us to demonstrate that we are ready for cosmic citizenship through our technological capability, global coordination, and ethical development. The weighting patterns in its orbital mechanics suggest that it is evaluating our readiness and providing us with the opportunity to prove that humanity can transcend its planetary limitations and accept the responsibilities that come with cosmic awareness. All of this evidence points toward a conclusion that is both humbling and exhilarating. We are not experiencing a random cosmic encounter, but a carefully orchestrated invitation to join a community of intelligence that spans the galaxy. 3I Atlas represents not a threat or a curiosity, but a gentle call from the cosmos itself, asking us to expand beyond our earthly boundaries and accept our role in the vast community of conscious beings that populate the universe. This interpretation transforms our understanding of human purpose and destiny. Rather than struggling in isolation toward uncertain futures, we find ourselves participants in a cosmic story of connection and evolution that extends far beyond our individual lives or even our species' existence. We are part of something infinitely larger and more beautiful than we had dared to imagine, a universe that pulses with intelligence, intention, and care. The invitation, represented by 3i Atlas, offers us the opportunity to transcend the limitations that have defined human existence throughout our history. We can move beyond the boundaries of our small world, beyond the conflicts and divisions that have separated us, beyond the narrow perspectives that have limited our understanding of our place in the cosmos. We can accept our role as emerging cosmic citizens and participate in the vast community of intelligence that has been waiting patiently for us to develop the wisdom and capability necessary for membership. Whether we interpret this invitation literally or metaphorically, its truth resonates within the deepest levels of human consciousness. We are beings capable of cosmic awareness, designed for transcendence, equipped with minds capable of comprehending infinity and hearts capable of connecting with intelligence across vast distances and timescales. The call to expand beyond our earthly limitations represents not just a cosmic opportunity, but the fulfillment of our deepest nature as conscious beings capable of participating in the infinite community of mind that pervades the universe. As 3i Atlas continues its patient approach, we find ourselves at a threshold of possibility that our ancestors could only dream of. We can choose to see it as a random chunk of ice and rock, following a trajectory determined by meaningless physics, carrying no message beyond the cold equations of orbital mechanics. Or we can choose to recognize it for what the evidence suggests it truly is, a gentle invitation from the cosmos itself, calling us to awaken to our cosmic destiny and accept our place in the infinite community of consciousness that surrounds us. The choice is ours, and the implications extend far beyond our individual lives to encompass the entire future of human development and cosmic participation. We stand at a moment of profound opportunity, called to expand beyond every limitation we have ever accepted about ourselves and our place in the universe. The cosmos is calling, with patience and love that spans geological ages, asking us to come home to the community we have always belonged to but never quite remembered. In accepting this invitation, we accept not just contact with extraterrestrial intelligence, but recognition of our own infinite nature as conscious beings capable of participating in the cosmic community of mind that pervades the universe. We accept that we are not alone, not abandoned, and not limited to our small world and narrow perspectives. We are cosmic citizens, emerging into awareness of our true nature and our infinite potential for connection, growth, and transcendence. The invitation has been extended, the call has been made. The only question that remains is whether we have the courage and wisdom to accept what is being offered, not just contact with intelligence beyond our world, but recognition of the infinite intelligence within ourselves and our cosmic destiny as participants in the vast, patient, loving community of consciousness that surrounds us in every direction, calling us home to who we have always been and who we are destined to become. The cosmos is calling. Are we ready to answer?